control and Velcorin. There's a subject.
Death Star.
Should we talk about Velcorin?
Yeah, I don't know what to do about it.
No, me neither. I'd love to use it. It's like, but I'd like to do heroin too. It just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Doesn't seem like a good idea.
And I might just like it too much.
When you have that bottle that has the skull and crossbones on it,
right,
that was developed by the Germans.
Doesn't seem like something you want to pour into your wine, right?
No.
So, Velcorin, I suppose I should explain because Shannon's staring at me from over there. The Velcorin is a yeast sterilant, and I don't know an immense amount about it, but it's a yeast tolerant that you can add on the way to bottle, which will kill all yeast, and it's an alternative to sterile filtration.
My understanding, what it does is
a lot of fruit juices, a lot of sodas.
What is it? Arizona iced tea. All those things, like those beverages, are all done with Velcorin. My understanding from the little science I have, which is really a little bit, I should talk about when I taught you the lab work
right.
that time. But
let's not talk about.
No, we shouldn't. Is it enzymatically blocks it doesn't kill the yeast, it blocks the yeast from being able to metabolize. And what you're left with in the wine is a minuscule amount of sulfur dioxide, which is an additive to wine.
Yeast birth control.
Yeast birth control. A minuscule amount is a byproduct, and a very minuscule amount also of not the good alcohol, but the bad alcohol.
And it goes to nothing.
It goes to nothing.
Right? It becomes nothing.
It becomes nothing.
However, when we're using it, it's poison.
It's poison, and it's poison. Theoretically, you shouldn't drink a bottle of it right away, but I think that's the attorneys talking.
Right.
It ultimately, my understanding is it goes through, what it does is almost instant, and it's no longer there.
But should we use it? Is it a good thing? I mean, how does that fit with organic farming and David Osgood, all this stuff, native yeasts?
What your alternatives of doing a sterile filtration, which is such a tight filtration that I've always described it as taking a friend and pushing them through a chain link fence and pretending that they're still your friend on the other side of the fence. You know, it's just...
I like to say a series of hedges getting tighter and tighter. Yeah, the guy's not happy with you at the end, for sure.
I have no real take. I've tried Velcorin a couple of times when I've sat there and said, okay, what does it mean? I have a wine that potentially could take off and ferment further in the bottle. If it's going to do it, you put it in the bottle.
Oh, but it works. There's no question that it works.
But I also did the first 25 cases at the start of the run and took sample cases from that. And then out of the middle of the run, Velcorin took sample cases from that. And we've done the tastings. And in one case, there was a detectable difference each time. In one case, the Velcorin wine was preferred. In another case, it was not preferred, but it was not like a major difference. So in terms of organoleptically, I didn't see anything massive.
It's organic.
I think that's a word.
What does that mean? Did you just make that up?
Yeah, and I mean like when you taste your whiskey and stuff. But I didn't see the distinct difference. I do not like it though. I inherently, like you are, looking at it saying, why are you putting this in your wine?
Should we be able to proudly say, I don't filter and I don't fine, yet not mentioned, but I do add Velcorin?
No, we leave out the I add Velcorin part. But if we said,
but I think we shouldn't be able to. I think
don't think so either. It should be part of the disclosure.
I don't agree necessarily with the I don't filter, I don't fine thing. Sometimes I think wines benefit from filtration and fining, and I think it's fine. But for whatever reason, that's been built up as a great thing to be able to state for a sales tool.
But then if you're
adding Velcorin, I don't think you should say that. I think you say, but I do add Velcorin sterilizer.
Just Velcorin.
Right, exactly.
It is, for me, in my case, I have a partner who gets very cranky when I spend too much money, but be really, really cranky
cranky most of the time.
If I put the wine into bottle and it all became easy out corks, taken off again. So you sit there and you have a certain responsibility, both to your clients and to your partners, or to yourself, that you are going to find some rational level of security. I don't want to sit there and say, I'm going to just, like a lot of my friends in the past have said, I sterile filter prophylactically, as some people will say, just because I know...
Filter through condoms.
That's what I thought, until I found out that they meant that it was just to be secure.
Right.
But it was... as purely an insurance policy. So I'm going to strip the wine just because that way I'm sure that A person I knew told me, I want to know that my wine sitting in a sub-zero temperature at Bismarck, North Dakota, is going to be stable as much as it is in Waco, Texas at 180 degrees. You know, and I'm looking at it and say, well, that's not what this is about. But there is some level of...
But here's an interesting thing. We didn't find because we didn't know how to, and we didn't really filter very much at Adelaide because we didn't want to. No. And we had nothing take off in the bottle particularly, right? I mean, but we were harvesting, and someone asked me this the other day, in your Adelaide days, which were some time ago, what were your
parameters?
Alcohols? No, your alcohols and your picking...
We were picking lighter.
We were picking less, right? I mean, we were looking 23.5 was our...
23.5, 24.5
bricks,
is what...
sugar.
Yeah,
so
sugar.
we're talking 14.5, maybe.
I think virtually all the wines were hovering right in the 14% range, and they were considered outrageously...
You're just making this up because you can't
No, I remember this. The reason I remember is because I had, in those days, the BATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, come into Adelaide and do that checking. You know,
I was there. I watched it. It was one of the greatest days of my life.
We got them drunk, didn't we?
You did. You did. They left confused and drunk and thought you were great.
Yes, I worked that one out well. But
God, that's not going to be edited.
I hope not. When are we going to open the whiskey?